Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
It's our festival unit, so we're going to party. At least we're going to talk about somewhat of a party. A festival environment is very happy usually. You have lots of tasty food. Your friends and family gather together. We're going to be talking about something that they do in Korea, though.
Yes, indeed. We're talking about Chuseok. And that's a kind of celebration that's similar to Mid-Autumn Festival here in Taiwan. But, as you would expect, it's slightly different, and they celebrate it in different ways. And we're going to focus on that because, hey, it's going on right as we speak. Chuseok is going on right now in South Korea, so I think you can probably still get a flight today and be there in just a couple of hours and join the festivities. So let's get to it, everybody. Let's find out what this is all about. Let's read through it one time.
Chuseok brings South Korea's heritage into focus. In Taiwan, the Mid-Autumn Festival means smoky barbecues and families laughing under the full moon. In Korea, the season is also celebrated, though with different customs and a distinctive atmosphere. Called Chuseok, it usually lasts 3 days and centers on harvest traditions and ancestor worship. During Chuseok, Koreans follow traditions passed down for generations. In spite of their busy routines, many families return to their hometowns to conduct memorial rites. An elaborate table is prepared with an array of traditional foods to thank their ancestors for the harvest. Another custom involves visiting ancestral burial sites, where families clean the graves and present offerings. This practice strengthens family bonds and honors people's ancestors. Food also plays a role in the celebration, especially with traditional treats like songpyeon. This is a half-moon-shaped rice cake filled with ingredients such as sesame seeds, chestnuts, or red beans. More than just a tasty treat, songpyeon holds meaning in its shape. Koreans believe the half-moon shape represents growth and success as it moves toward fullness. As a result, eating songpyeon is believed to bring abundance and prosperity. Beyond rituals and food, Chuseok features traditional games and performances. One well-known example is gangangsule, a circle dance performed by women in hanbok dresses under the full moon. Through these activities, participants express appreciation for the year's harvest and hope for future happiness. With each shared meal and dance beneath the moon, Chuseok weaves together memory, gratitude, and the living heart of Korean tradition. Okay, guys, let's dive in. We're talking about Chuseok, which brings South Korea's heritage into focus. Your heritage are the traditions and the beliefs and the history that are passed down from past generations through time. So your family has its heritage, a country has its cultural heritage. So it's kind of fun. It's your legacy, traditions that you do, but it encompasses more than just traditions. Heritage is something that goes from generation to generation. Do you have what you call or consider a family heritage, Tom?
Well, I guess family history, I suppose, if we all know about where we came from and stuff like that, or traditions that we celebrate. Like most Americans, of course, we celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving and things like that. So I suppose that would be like American heritage or family heritage or whatever. I guess it could also refer to family heirlooms, like, jewelry or something that your great-grandparents had or furniture and things like that that are being passed from one generation to the next.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about one item, an heirloom. I guess it's not really an heirloom. It's not that old, but my dad's guns were very, very highly prized when he passed away. All my brothers wanted them, and we had to draw straws to see who got them. So all families have something special. I wanted my mom's cookie jar. That was something that she left behind. Those are things that you can inherit. But we're talking today about a country in general, not just families, and that's South Korea. That's our neighbor to the north. I think it took me about 3 hours to fly there when I went to see a friend, but it's fairly close, and we share similar traditions. They celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival like we do, but they do a little, they have their own spin or take on things. The way they celebrate it is unique to South Korea.
Right, and of course, here in Taiwan, the Mid-Autumn Festival means smoky barbecues and families laughing under the full moon. And of course, some people might actually have mooncakes and drink tea and things like that. Of course, there are different ways to celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival here in Taiwan. If something is smoky, well, there's a lot of smoke there. So, of course, you're having barbecues outside under the full moon. And, of course, the smoke is rising into the air, creating a very festive atmosphere. But in Korea, the season is also celebrated, though with different customs and a distinctive atmosphere. Now, here, atmosphere is not referring to the layer of air that goes all the way around the earth, and we breathe the air. Without the atmosphere, of course, we would all die. We would all suffocate. But here, an atmosphere just refers to the general feeling of a certain kind of situation. Oh, there's an exciting atmosphere tonight because there's a big concert going on and everybody is really excited.
Yeah, we love that. Sometimes if you have a romantic occasion or you have a date, you'll look for a restaurant that has a romantic atmosphere. Or the party was a lot of fun. The atmosphere there was joyful and you had a lot of fun. Distinctive here that describes the type of atmosphere because you need an adjective before it. Kind of tells you that it's very different from others and it has something special about it. That's what distinctive means. It's unique. It's recognizable. It's very special. And their particular Mid-Autumn Festival is called Chuseok, and it usually just lasts 3 days. I don't know. Ours usually lasts a couple of days as well. 3 days is quite long. It centers on harvest traditions and ancestor worship, which is similar to us. Harvest is when you go into the fields, you've been growing crops, and you pick them, and hopefully you had a very bountiful harvest. You had a lot of food that was very tasty, and you had a lot of things that you could harvest so that you could sell them at the market or trade them with other people. Farmers harvest rice, for example, in the autumn. So they've got harvest traditions. That's when the crops are picked and delivered to the market. And ancestor just means people who lived long ago in your family. I have ancestors from Europe. Some came from Ireland and some came from England and Germany. So your family ancestors can come from different places. You can talk about those. Those are just people, again, in your family. Your predecessors are people who came before you. So we use that as a synonym, your predecessors. Your relatives can describe people who are currently alive in your family. It doesn't have to be someone who lived long ago.
I guess your grandparents would be considered your ancestors, but to me, ancestors are from several generations before. So, of course, you would be worshiping your ancestors, the people who came before you. And that's one of the traditions that is associated with Chuseok. Here in the next paragraph, it says, during Chuseok, Koreans follow traditions passed down for generations. Okay, so they have this heritage. All these traditions have been passed down from one generation to the next. And in spite of their busy routines, many families return to their hometowns to conduct memorial rites. Okay, so of course, like Taiwan, lots of people in Korea are very, very busy. They work, maybe 9-10 hours a day or something like that. And they, of course, study real hard in school and things like that. So, of course, they are very busy, but despite the fact that they're busy, even though they are really busy, they still want to find time to go back to their hometowns. And they do this to conduct memorial rites. Okay, a rite, R-I-T-E, is a kind of ceremony or something that you do traditionally. It involves an action here, so memorial rites would probably involve bowing before the ancestors, burning incense, or however they do it.
Yeah, memorial just means something that you do or make to help remember people, someone who is special to you, or maybe an occasion. Sometimes cities or towns will build statues to memorialize something or an event that took place, a person perhaps. And as Tom said, a rite is just a really formal act or some sort of ceremony that's done for a special reason. So they do try to go home to their hometowns. Your hometown is where you were born and raised. Sometimes people were born somewhere and then they moved. So what's their hometown? Usually it's where you spent the majority of your years growing up. It may not be where you were born. Maybe you were born in Hong Kong and your parents left after you were 2 months old. I don't know if that's your hometown. So it depends on where you spent most of the years growing up. That could be your hometown. You'll have to ask your families what they consider their hometown to be. So they have these rites to honor their families, which is kind of fun, kind of nice.
And an elaborate table is prepared with an array of traditional foods to thank their ancestors for the harvest. That sounds very similar to how it's done here in Taiwan. You have a big table and you've got all sorts of traditional foods on that table. You're making sacrifices to your ancestors or to the gods or whoever, and you're thanking them for the harvest. Of course, this is October when all the crops have been harvested. All the food has been taken in from the fields, the corn, the wheat, the rice, or whatever you're growing there. Yeah. So you have to be thankful for that. And of course, you have this celebration in order to thank your ancestors for all their sacrifices, all their back-breaking labor that they did years ago so that you could survive and be happy nowadays. And another custom involves visiting ancestral burial sites where families clean the graves and present offerings. Now, this starts to sound like Qingmingjie, but basically what they're doing is they're visiting the burial sites of their ancestors. These, again, are ancestral burial sites. Burial just has to do with putting a body in the ground after they have died.
Yeah.
Here in Taiwan, of course, you can do that still in the country, I suppose, but if you live in the city, you have to be cremated and your ashes are kept in a mausoleum or something like that. But here they actually have the graves and they visit those ancestral burial sites or those mausoleums if they have the bones there, the ashes.
Yeah. So what's the difference between a grave and a tomb or a mausoleum? They're different. When we say grave in English, we are referring to the place in the ground where a person is buried. But if you're in Taipei, for example, and you don't get to bury your family members in the ground, you might have them in a mausoleum, a tomb, or a crypt even, or maybe you keep their ashes in your home. So it's a little different. When we say grave, we're talking about the actual places where people's bodies are put into the ground. That's their resting place. Sometimes we'll say someone is laid to rest. It's more polite than saying, well, where's your dead mom buried? We don't say that. And grave sounds a little spooky. So sometimes we'll talk about just going to the cemetery. That's a special area, a plot of land where a lot of different family members are buried. Or maybe there's some tombs there. If people have a lot of money, like a king, they might have a huge stone tomb built and have their body put into that place. But not everyone has that much money. But we're finding out there is a difference between the Mid-Autumn Festival celebration in Korea and the one we have here in Taiwan. Because at that point, we don't go and visit our ancestors' grave sites or memorial sites or even practice these rites that they do, these burial rites. That's something they do that's very distinctive, you could say, in South Korea. They probably do it in North Korea too. But we're just talking about South Korea today. And that's a point where they get together, as Tom says, and they clean the graves. They present offerings to honor their family and their relatives who have passed on. That's another way we talk about someone dying. They passed on. It's just a little nicer. It sounds nicer, or they were laid to rest.
Indeed. So again, they visit the graves, they clean the graves, and they present offerings. And this practice, or this tradition, strengthens family bonds and honors people's ancestors. If you strengthen something, you make it stronger so the family can be strong and continue on into the future, and they'll continue to talk to each other, and they won't get mad at each other and argue over who gets what of the inheritance and things like that. They'll be one big happy family. Okay, we're halfway through our article for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。又来到中秋节啦，我们中秋节就是要烤肉，对不对？可不要以为全世界的中秋节都会有烤肉哦。第一，并不是全世界都会庆祝中秋节。第二，就算像是韩国也有类似像中秋节所谓秋夕这个节庆，他们也不是烤肉啦。好，不过我们今天这文章啊很有趣，我们设计成克漏字，然后我们顺便也要看一下这个韩国的秋夕到底是怎么样来庆祝的。回到第一段咯，第一段当中啊，第一句其实有个关系子句的简化，就是在讲说我们台湾中秋节啊一定要烤肉啊，然后大家聚在一起啊，然后再烤肉啊，吃东西啊，开开心心的。那它这里的关系子句简化，先行词是 families 这个单字，后面的 laughing 一直到句尾可以左右括号。那它是怎么样的简化呢？就是 laugh 这个字啊，本来前面应该会有一个冠带 who 或者是 that， 跟原本它的动词 laugh。我们之前说过，关系子句简化就是冠带删掉之后，连接词就等于被删掉，所以动词 laugh 直接变成 ing， 对不对？关系子句简化。好，接下来就提到是韩国啊，那韩国就是所谓的秋夕，通常是持续3天哦，然后呢会庆祝丰收啊，祭祖。但是同样在这边提到的秋夕的第一段第3句，它其实是个分词构句。其实句首如果你看到 ing 或者是 pp 开头，后面又打个逗点的之后啊，它基本上就是个分词构句的句型。不过这个 call 的被称为，谁被称为啊？真正的主词是逗点之后的 it， 也就是韩国的秋夕这样的一个节庆。好，接下来我们就来到了第二段咯。第二段就是秋夕到底要怎么样来庆祝啊？其实大家都有这个世代遵循的一个传统，然后家人呢都会返乡祭祀啊，然后会前往祖坟啊，然后大家的这个情感有所连结。不过我们在第二段先看一下第一句，它是个关系子句简化，不晓得你有没有注意到它的先行词也是只有一个字叫做 traditions， 大家都会遵循传统。什么样的传统呢？好几代世代相传的，所以后面的 past 一直到句尾我们把它左右括号，省略的一样是 which 或者是 that 跟 be 动词 are。 好，那么接着我们要特别注意看一下第二段第4句这个地方哦，我们要复习一下关系子句非限定用法补充说明的关系子句，逗点之后的 where 这边特别注意一下。好，逗点前面的先行词是 ancestral burial sites， 祖先的坟墓的这个地方就是祖墓，然后逗点之后呢 where 这边打一个逗点，补充说明一下，我们因为也没有特别限定是哪一个坟墓哪一个墓地，所以不需要去限定，不需要去限定的话就直接打个逗点，语气就可以稍微在这边做个停顿。 where 这个副词指的是而在那些地方，前面先行词的地方。那这是我们在第一段第二段谈到韩国如何来庆祝秋夕的状况。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. It's our festival unit, and we're talking about Chuseok, which brings South Korea's heritage into focus. They happen to celebrate their Mid-Autumn Festival. That's the English translation of that. A little differently than we do here in Taiwan. And it's very special. It is a time when they actually try to go back to their relatives or their ancestors' grave sites and conduct or perform memorial rites. They set up a really elaborate table with a lot of food. And it says it has an array of traditional foods. An array just means lots of types, various types of foods there. I'm sure they eat well during this period of time, but they also take that opportunity to clean their families' graves and present offerings to them. And as they conduct or go through this practice, it helps strengthen their family relationships, which is always important. It helps honors the people in their family who have passed on.
And the ancestors will be in heaven or wherever, and they'll look down and they'll think, oh, that's great. They're honoring us, and the family is strong, and they'll be together for a long time. Now, here in the next paragraph, it says, food also plays a role in the celebration, especially with traditional treats like songpyeon. I hope I said that right.
송편.
Pyun, okay, thank you. Sorry for butchering Korean here in today's lesson. But in any case, food is also an important part in this celebration. Celebration, of course, is when you celebrate something. Here again, they're celebrating the fall harvest, the autumn harvest. So again, to celebrate just means to have a good time in recognizing something has happened. Of course, you can celebrate your birthday, you can celebrate your wedding anniversary or whatever. And here, food is a very important part of this celebration.
Yeah, celebration's just a really happy event. Some things happen that you feel happy about, so you want to celebrate, bring people together. Maybe you have a party. You have lots of good tasting food because food is always an important part of celebrating anything. So they have special treats in Korea. One is the songpyeon. It's a half-moon-shaped rice cake, and it's filled with ingredients that are similar to us here. They have fillings with sesame seeds, chestnuts, or even red beans. So we use some of those ingredients right here in Taiwan. That shape has a lot of meaning to the Koreans. So remember, it's the shape of a half moon. It's not a full moon, it's a half moon. And what it means to them is they believe that half moon shape represents growth and success because it's moving towards fullness. It's not diminishing, it's increasing in its fullness. And so that brings them a lot of hope for the future. I think it's a very hopeful idea. So they are hoping that by eating the songpyeon, it's going to bring them abundance. Abundance just means a large amount of something. You have plenty of something if you have an abundance of a particular object, or maybe it's food. It could be a lot of different things. There's abundance of food at parties.
There certainly is, or at least there should be, an abundance of food at a party. And again, it will bring prosperity, which means you're going to have lots of luck in the future. You're going to have lots of money and things like that. Lots of children. Everybody's going to live happily. There aren't going to be any tragedies or anything like that. So, of course, that's why you want to celebrate, because you want to have a bright future.
Yeah, everybody is looking forwards toward a bright future. I think having hope is very important. I think it's a large part of the culture here, too. When we have festivals, everybody's always looking towards the future. But I think we need to be grateful for today as well. I wanted to mention prosperity is a noun, and the adjective form, if you're describing a person or a company that's been very successful and wealthy, you'll say they've been very prosperous. But as Tom mentioned, having a lot of children is also being prosperous, because a large family is wonderful too. So it's how you see success and wealth in your own mind, your own viewpoint. You can judge your own success and wealth by what you have in your life. So many people, they like to pray for peace and prosperity in the new year. It's a good time to be grateful as well.
It certainly is, and it's kind of ironic that I mentioned the fact that they want to produce children, because actually in Korea, they don't. They're just like Taiwan and China and Japan. They just aren't having a lot of kids, and the population is going to decrease as a result in the future, but that's another topic for another day.
It's a problem, yeah.
It is a problem indeed. So here in the next paragraph it says, beyond rituals and food, or in addition to these rituals, these rites, and the food, Chuseok features traditional games and performances. So indeed, they do have traditional games there, just like they do here in Taiwan. Or in other cultures, they have games that they play during these celebrations. I can't really think of any Christmas games that we play. I know some of my Jewish friends back in the U.S. have these little tops or something. I don't know what they're called, but they play those games during Hanukkah or something like that. It's kind of a game that they play during a certain kind of celebration. And here they've got some traditional games that they play during this holiday.
There's something they have that they always do, and it's a dance. It's a traditional dance. You could also call it a folk dance, and that's called the gangansule. It's a circle dance, and it's performed by the women only, and they're wearing their traditional dress. It's called the hanbok. It looks like a really large baby doll that's been dressed up to me.
Okay.
It's very different. It's the opposite of what the qipao is in Chinese culture, which is very form-fitting. It's got a big bow and a very wide skirt, and it just looks like a little doll to me. It looks like a young baby doll. That's why I call it the baby doll dress. But that's their traditional Korean outfit, and they wear it on very special occasions. If they have a recital or a concert, they'll dress up in that. Whereas we tend to, of course, use more traditional Chinese clothing here. But this dance is only performed by women, and they do it under the full moon. So maybe that brings them good luck.
That's what's going on right now. So I have a feeling that this particular celebration happens exactly at the same time as Mid-Autumn Festival does here in Taiwan, because, of course, the full moon will be full no matter where you are in the world. And through these activities, participants express appreciation for the year's harvest and hope for future happiness. So, yes, indeed, that's why you do these things. You express your appreciation for the year's harvest. Thank you very much, whoever provided this food for us, whether they're Christians or Buddhists or whatever, or they're thanking their ancestors for this great food that they're going to have for the winter, and they won't have to starve to death. And, of course, they'll be happy in the future. And with each shared meal and dance beneath the moon, Chuseok weaves together memory, gratitude, and the living heart of Korean tradition. So if you have gratitude, that means you're grateful for something someone has done to you. You want to express gratitude if you want to thank someone for something. And in this particular case, these, of course, are activities that allow you to do that. You remember your ancestors, you express gratitude toward them, you're thankful to them, you're grateful to them, and, of course, this tradition will continue on into the future.
I wanted to mention this verb weave is being used figuratively here. That's when you connect ideas or people or things together smoothly. They're not talking about actually taking yarn or string and putting those strands together. It's a nice verb to use if you want to say you're connecting things together for a really beautiful result. And it sounds like they have a really wonderful Chuseok over there in South Korea. Right now, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher one more time.
那当然，韩国如何来庆祝秋夕这个状况啊？第二段我们刚刚特别讲到的关系子句非限定用法，其实就是我们克漏字的第2题啦。那因为语义上就是不用限定到底是到谁的祖母嘛，所以打一个逗点之后用 where。那这时候如果你还有疑问的话，为什么 D 的答案不行是 which 的话呢？是因为逗点之后啊 where 逗点之后关代或者是关复这个地方，整个从 family 一直到句尾是完整的句子，所以我们这一格也只能够填上副词咯，用 where 指的是在那个地方。不过当然在第3段这个地方啊，我们特别又提到说在食物上啊，就像我们会吃烤肉，在秋夕的时候食物也是很重要的哦。比如说像松片这种传统的点心，那松片呢它就是一种半月形的蛋糕，但是是什么样的半月形蛋糕呢？第3段的第2句它也是关系子句的简化，这里就提到松片是一种半月形的年糕，但是是什么样的年糕呢？是里面有芝麻、栗子啊、红豆这些馅料的半月形年糕，所以它是一种限定哪一种半月形年糕的用法哦。关系子句限定用法，而且去简化它。我们来看一下第2句先行词 A half moon shaped rice cake， 后面的 filled 到句尾可以左右括号，所以当然也是删除了或者是所谓简化了 which 或 that 跟 be 动词的 is， 因为先行词是单数。好，那么这种半月形的年糕呢，就代表着成功啊、成长啊、富足啊、繁荣啊。所以在这里呢，我们直接来看到第4题。第4题这种连接词啊，也是克漏字的这个形式啊，非常喜欢考的，因为你必须要看懂上下文的文意。所以我们特别来看一下第4句。第4句的前文呢，这个第4句的前文，我们来看到它讲的是里面呢有很多象征的意义哦。那所以呢，既然有这个代表成功啊、繁荣啊这一些的这种圆满前进的意思，所以大家会觉得吃松片就会带来这一些富足跟繁荣，它是一种因果的关系，因为有这种象征，所以大家就相信。 不过在这里第4题啊，同样我们看到这一句当中啊，有一个被动表示客观的用法。在克漏字第4题这个地方，句子当中的 is believed， 某一件事情是被大家相信的。To do something 后面通常会直接加 to 原形或者是 to have pp。 那你可能会想说，为什么要被动呢？难道主词不重要吗？主词到底是谁啊？如果大家都这么相信，主词就是我们每一个人或者是很多的人，主词不明确的时候，通常就会直接用被动表示一种客观的讲法。最后面我们来看一下，还有秋夕的一些传统的游戏啊跟表演，其中一个很著名的例子就是锵锵水月来了。那这锵锵水月来也是用一个关系子句简化来说明它是一个什么样的游戏。最后面这一段我们看到第2句的地方，先行词从 be 动词之后一直到 dance 我们全部划线，而 perform 到句尾就左右括号咯，这边是一个关系子句的简化。所以我们今天课漏字呢特别看了第2题，也就是冠带或者是冠副要不要用这个限定用法，还有第4题一个转成词语上下文我们要看得懂才选得出来哦。以上是我们今天内容，我是安娜，我们下次见。
That's all for today, everybody. If you're celebrating Chuseok, have a great time, but I'm sure you're already having a great time celebrating Mid-Autumn Festival at your traditional barbecue. But what the heck, invite some Koreans over and you can share your traditions. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.